Shipley College, Saltaire.
I think so. No, hang on.
The Mouse Fancy. This show's in the top league among fanciers, halfway to being a Crufts or a Royal show.
Let's have a look at these. Not bad ears.
Lovely eye on it. Good under.
Thin tail.
The judges are taking up their places. They'll be confronted by around 400 mice distributed through 1,100 different entries in the various classes. The maxi cages are stuffed with bedding to keep the mice happy. The papers shredded computer printouts. Very trendy. They travel like derby winners, cosseted against the world, because you don't want any stress when they're in front of the judges. Might bring on a shock molt. When I was a kid, just about everybody's first pet was a white mouse, bought for a few coppers from a pet shop. I can well remember mine. It cost 9p, old money. And then I suppose I moved on from white mice to wild mice. But it was still the same mouse, the house mouse, musculus. Now, here today in Saltaire, the Airedale show has got a bewildering array of varieties, colours and mutations, some of them very new, and they're being judged at the moment. It's a serious business for the mouse fancier. The judges perfect their technique over many years of experience, and in their minds they carry the National Mouse Club standards for all the varieties. There must be about 70 altogether. Every animal gets scrutinised. Normally they're in groups of 3 in the cages, so they can be judged as a group as well as individually. It's a painstaking business. The groups look like peas in a pod to me. The mice take the handling very well. That's the judge's skill showing. Look at that, cool as a cucumber. No sign of stress there. I bet he's handled more mice than I've had hot dinners. And the lady judges are just as skillful, but I'm not sure what her dog has in mind. John Kellett's a legend in the mouse fancy. He's been secretary of the Airedale Club since 1955. His mousery's at Shipley, so the Airedale's a local show to him. He's allowed to prepare the mouse's food in the kitchen, but his mice live next door in a shed at the end of his garage. And he's got hundreds. John's a marvellous guide to mouseology, as I soon found out. He seemed to have most of the varieties, and showed me the subtle points that pick out the different breeds. Tell me what this lot is. I mean, they do tend to look a bit alike. There looks to me to be a lot of white ones in there.
Yeah, so that is a white one.
That's a cream and that's a white. Have I got it right?
Yes,
I mean, you'll stop me, won't you, if I say something stupid?
Oh, you've got it right.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't have told that wasn't white till I saw it next to this one. I bet that's how they do the soap ads. I used to buy them for 9p each when I was a kid. And I got 2 the first Saturday I was allowed to have any. And the bread, and you know, I'd sold all young in advance before they ate them. I had to make a penny on it.
I used to
buy them at 3 halfpence.
Did you? I was caught up in inflation, obviously, in my time.
And when you say satin, is that the sort of gloss, the sort of sheen on them?
I have to find one now.
Now, what's
That's a Siamese satin.
Oh, yeah,
And that's a Siamese
Ah,
normal.
now you can see that's got a real bloom on it, hasn't it? And this one's
right.
slightly duller, more matte coloured.
That's right.
Wow, that's a bit subtle.
Yeah, beauties, aren't they? But I could get into these lovely little things. Hey, stop that. This is the satin one, isn't it?
That's
The
right,
sheen
yeah.
on that. Oh, lovely. Hey, come here. Don't go wandering off.
How did you start with mice in the first place?
Well, I started when I was about 15 years old, and I started to make a little bit of pocket money. That was the main reason for breeding mice.
This was breeding pet mice and selling them to your pals, was it?
Well, I used to go down to the market and sell the mice, and that went on for quite a few years until I got married. And then I found that there was such things as mouse shows, so I started showing a bit to the local shows.
Are they still as exciting and as interesting as they always were?
Oh yes, yes, it's always nice to win a first, even though you've had plenty of them, but it's always nice to get another one.
And looking for the perfect mouse?
Trying for the perfect mouse, yes.
Do you ever think you've come close?
Well, at every show I think it's come close, but it doesn't always prove it.
Back in the house, it's still non-stop wall-to-wall mice, with a collection of over 2,500 china and other mouse ornaments in the lounge. Mrs. Clegg gave me her view of John's obsession. Well, after 60 years of mice, I mean, what do you think? How do you get on with them?
Don't like them at all.
Don't like them at all?
No.
Well, but you've got to admit they're nice to look at.
They're too quick.
Too quick. Just think, with mice, you don't have to take them out on wet nights. You don't.
Smell.
Do they? Do you know? I never even noticed that.
Oh, but they do.
Ah.
Yes, they smell. I said, when
So-
John's been feeding and he comes in, you know. No.
So you don't spend a lot of time out there.
I don't go out there at all, unless John's poorly. And if he was, and he's not often poorly, thank goodness. But the last time he was poorly, I fed them and I just tipped the lids up, dropped some food in. And when he was better, I'd fed all his empty boxes as well as the full ones. Because I never bothered to look inside to see if there were any mice in, you see.
The judging's now in full swing. It looks a long, slow, contemplative business. But believe me, the concentration is absolute, as every mouse is weighed up against the other competitors. Young Shane Gregory is acting as a steward at the show, ferrying mice in front of the judges and back to the benches. He's 15 years old and comes from Clipston in Nottinghamshire, so he had an early start this morning. Shane's animal mad, and he fills up the family house and garden with his pets. He'd like to be a vet later on. The red-eared terrapin belongs to his school and it's just on his holidays at the moment. The oriental fire-bellied toads are his latest treasures. Very smart they are too. He's not been in the mouse game long, but he's off to a flyer. Well, they've got a nice long garden.
Yep,
And this is the mouse ranch, is it?
yep.
Ah, so you've got some other animals as well. What's in that hut?
The rabbit.
Rabbit. Ah. And ducks as well.
Yep.
What kind of rabbit have you got?
Dutch rabbit, this one.
Ah. Oh, that's a beauty. Nice Dutch rabbit. By gum, you looking good, Nick. Yeah, lovely.
Now go with
Right,
that.
go and see your mice. Get into the mouse corral. You've already had one success, judging that large coop there.
Yeah, I've had a few successes, yeah.
Yeah, when did you start?
I got my first lot of mice late last year, about December, January time, and started showing around about March, like that.
So this is really your first full season of showing mice then?
Yeah, first year, I think.
Yeah, you're very modest saying you've got a few successes. I mean, apart from that coop, there's quite a few rosettes and things up there.
Mm.
Aye.
There's a litter of young ones here.
Oh, yeah, my word.
These aren't
Yeah.
very old.
Are they okay? I mean, she won't mind us looking at them.
No, she's pretty used to being handled now.
Aye. By gum, they're no size at all, are they? Just a day too old?
3 days old these
Aye.
today.
Good Lord, look at that. That's great. Oh, stick them back in warm. They all together.
Yeah, she'll
She'll rearrange them.
keep her busy.
Yep. Yeah. And which is your best one then? Where's your champ?
I've done all right with one end there.
On end. Oh,
Yeah.
right, I'll get him then. Ah, you're under the railway. Your boxes are very solid, aren't they? Right. What's in there then? Oh, that's a big mouse, is that? And what makes it so special then?
They've all got to have thick tails, aren't they?
Yeah,
Thick at the base, right?
Yeah,
And tapering to a thin point at the end.
yeah.
And that's really about as long as his head and body, isn't it?
Yeah, should be body length.
Oh, yeah. So it's even that specified in the standards then?
They've got to have large tulip-shaped ears. Or
Tulip-shaped. Yeah.
spoon-shaped, right?
Aye, aye. He's a
Got to
beauty,
have
that one.
good
isn't
size to them, or it'll be
he?
big.
Yeah. Let's have a look at a close-up of him. Come on, champ.
By gum, what are you doing? Yeah, you're a big beauty, aren't you? Yeah, you're a gem of a mouse, you are.
Well, I hope you do well tomorrow. Got a grand set of whiskers on him, hasn't he? Ow! He's giving me a nip. Oh! I said that too soon. It's ow! It's done it again.
Yeah, it is.
Blow me. Yeah. I've had better treatment from ferrets.
They don't usually nip these.
Ah. How many animals does Shane have then? Do you know exactly?
Exactly. I don't know. A lot. We're dreading coming home from school in case he brings anything else.
Can't be as bad as that, sure.
Oh, it is, yeah.
He doesn't refuse anything, is that
No,
it?
that's right, yeah.
Are there any animals you've drawn the line at?
A goat.
A goat?
Yeah, he wanted a goat from school. And I said no.
You thought that'd be a bit much.
Well, it's me that's going to take you to walk.
The tension mounts as the judging gets into its later stages. And all around the technical chat goes on. It's like they were speaking a different language, beyond the ken of ordinary folk from outside the fancy. They even use their own form of shorthand as they discuss the points of the varieties.
It doesn't say anything about satin overriding everything else, but it's a precedent that we've always always done. Like with the long hairs, there are people who showing long hairs in the long-haired satin in the AOV section, where technically should go into satin.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the judges plod on through the job in hand. There's lots of organisation goes into a show like this, and it draws people from a very wide area. Doreen Cooper's assured herself of a place in the Mouse Fancy's Hall of Fame. She bred a completely new type of mouse, just like this one. And you can't do better than that. It's very popular now.
It was in 1968, and I bred the Steel Point Siamese mouse.
And that's
With
a
markings
Siamese
just like
mouse,
the
like a
cat.
cat.
Exactly like a cat. I bred Siamese cats at the time, and in a litter of these brown and white, shall we say, mice, there was a white one. People call them albino, but we call them just white. And it developed these points on it.
And how did you get
So-
it then in sort of to breed through?
Just by crossing it with all these others, and then I passed them out as quickly as I could, in case I lost the gene, of course.
Yes.
not that I'm interested in genes. I know nothing about genetics. To me, it's like I have the showing side and the experimental side. I'm more interested in the experimental side, of course, because I believe everything's possible. And I just like inventing new breeds.
So you're like one step ahead of evolutionary theory, aren't you? But in practice.
Yes, yes. And when somebody says, well, I've had mice on my hand, like a red fox, which has a red top, like a red cat, and white underneath. And I've had one on my hand, and I've said, what do you think of that? To a geneticist, and they said, it's impossible. I say, how can it be impossible?
Yeah.
Here's one.
Shows the mice know best then, really, doesn't it?
Yes.
And what
I've done
lines
that
are you on
several
at the
times.
moment?
I've got most breeds, actually. But I'm after the elusive tricolour. That is a white mouse with red, white and blue. Very patriotic.
Oh, yeah. This is the
Spots
holy
on it.
grail, I gather, then, among mouse people.
For me, yes.
Yeah.
Tried 30 years and still hoping.
I would have thought that after a while all the mice would start to look the same. But the judges have to keep on comparing under the critical eyes of the watchers. It's a great place, this, for kids of all ages who like to poke about, making their own assessments. I must say, I wouldn't mind taking a few of these home. Get the garden shed cleaned up and go for tricolour glory, maybe. But now the awards are mounting up as decisions are taken by them as know best. Some fans have come a long way. These are from Germany.
You're speaking German.
Yeah, I know. this is a variegated.
I wondered what varieties the Germans fancied.
Well, of course, the ones I like most, which are the chinchillas and maybe some foxes and silvers. But, you know, I like most of the colors. There are just a few I don't like at all. Yeah, and I will not take those, of course. Yeah.
And how strong is interest in mice, in fancy mice in Germany?
Well, I think there is no interest now because people don't know that there is a mouse club in England. Yeah. And, well, but a few are starting to become an interest, you know, to try to build up a mouse club, yeah. But I don't know how it goes on, yeah. Still, there is no mouse fancy at all.
And what's the thing in
Big
these?
time for me now. I've been in judge class myself, under the eagle eye of a top-class pro.
Yeah, now that, yeah.
Yeah.
They are as light as that, the colour in general.
You can have them light if you wish,
Can you?
if you so wish. You know, but I don't think that the lighter ones are really what you could call silver.
Aye.
You know.
What does it count if the tan goes up the sides a bit? Is that permissible?
Well,
Round the neck?
Yeah, well, what actually it should be is the tan should go in a line like that.
I see, yeah. Yeah.
You see,
Right, so that's
those
number
are
2.
okay, yeah.
Here's number 3. You've got to keep your eye on them, haven't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know.
That's another big fine mouse, isn't it?
You see, the best way to handle it is get the middle of the tail like that, put it on your hand like that,
Yeah.
you see, and then do that.
Yeah,
and then you,
Yeah. Have a go, and let's have a look at you. Yeah.
see.
Yeah, it's happy once it's got something to hold on to.
Yeah.
Right.
And they very rarely bite you when they're like that, you know.
Noticed.
Yeah.
Right. Go on, get in.
Yeah.
Well, I made a right ash of that, but at least I got through it. It's almost all over now, and time to see how John and Shane have done.
I did very well, actually.
What did you finish up with?
I finished up with best marked and first and second in the class with the Marines. But, I don't know what else. To be quite honest, I don't know what else.
Yeah.
I know that's my best one.
Yeah.
Best marked.
First in chin fox at all.
Yeah. Phew, yeah. 4 first then.
Yeah? How many
6
seconds?
seconds and a quarter.
Ooh, that's good going, isn't it? You must be absolutely thrilled to bits with that lot.
Did all right.
Hey, you'll pay for your shed with them, won't you?
Yeah.
Great. Well, this is it then. Super Mouse, best in show.
Yeah, he's done the business today.
Oh, what is he?
A black-eyed cream.
Ah.
It's a bulk, as a young adult, about 15, 16 weeks old.
Yeah, yeah. He's a monster size, isn't he?
Yeah, there's one of the biggest varieties in the fancy market. They make up to about 4 ounces in weight when they're fully mature. And the biggest I've seen has been 12 inches long.
It is a true fancy, isn't it?
Oh, it's a marvellous little hobby.
Yeah.
It costs you very little. You know, a young boy going into it can keep a small stud of mice on his pocket money.
Yeah.
The fancy itself is very, very generous. You know, it's very rich in experience with fanciers been keeping mice 30, 40, even 50 years.
Yeah.
And they're marvellous with newcomers, as
Yeah.
they were with me some 7 or 8 years ago.
Dave Bumford of the National Mouse Club wants more youngsters involved.
Strikes me, any youngster with a scientific inclination, a home computer, and a shed full of mice could be the next Charles Darwin.
Oh yes, that's what it's all about. Yes, yes. I'd say we're very experimental, and you know, we're upgrading our stock the whole time. There's as much thought goes into breeding a stud of fancy mice as there is breeding racehorses. The only thing that's different is the money and the space involved.
You don't have to be an oil sheikh to get into mice, do you?
No, you don't. No.
So the mouse fancy really is pretty buoyant. Small numbers, but pretty buoyant.
Oh, very buoyant, I'd say. Yes, very buoyant. We're all looking very much forward to the future, and as you can see, we're all thoroughly enjoying ourselves here. So, if you know, all I can say is that anybody who wants to join the National Mouse Club, right, is assured of a warm welcome anytime, and they'll get all the help that they ever need to get started and helped along and shown the pitfalls and the drawbacks or whatever, you know. And then once you've done that, you're on your own, and it's every man for himself.
Well, you can't have fairer than that.
I really enjoyed that. It was a great day out. A sort of return to childhood. Come on, you youngsters, get organised, join the fancy. Some folk blame television watching for killing it off. Can't see why myself. The mice win hands down. Today's winners must be as pleased as Punch with their awards. I must say, if these little animals were just a bit bigger, lived just a bit longer, and you could take them out for a walk, they'd be the best pets in the world.